Erev Tov, I mean, bo. Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Mordechai. That was not on purpose. So I have a very good friend. His name is Shmulik Wasserman. Shmulik Wasserman. A lot of people know him, even here in the room. The famous shallots. You know the famous shallot restaurant, shallots in Chicago. He brought it up to the level it was. Anyway, so he was in Lakewood, and he sends me this picture. He says he walks into somebody's house, and there's a kid there doing the daf. And it turns out this kid's name is Naftali, and Naftali has already done 650 daf, and he plans on finishing Shas for his bar mitzvah. And he works on it all day. He does different dafim, different things. He does chazara, kitzer. Very proud of Naftali. Lakewood. This was in Lakewood. I should fly into his bar mitzvah. You hear? Let's go back. Noam says that if this kid, Naftali, finishes Shas with me, I should fly into his bar mitzvah. Wow. Don't worry. Well, part of the reason we're doing all this money, I don't make a salary, but the Olam says that if we raise money, we have to buy a private jet from DY. It's just natural. Yeah, we just lost a lot of money on the thing. What is this? Okay. This is Rabbi Krohn from Chicago doing the daf, caught. So, as I said, next week, Be'ezer Hashem, I am traveling to the United States. First stop, Florida for a few hours, or let's say 24 hours, and then from there to New York, and Chicago for Shabbos, back to New York. My wife is flying with me. She's doing 2 events for women. It's going to be a women's event featuring Rebbitzin Eli Stefansky. Whoa. There's a very famous TV personality here in Israel. His name is Yitzchok Meir. He's on TV. He's a from person, and he wrote he loves Daf Yomi. He himself learns Daf Yomi. And he writes over here a whole thing, and I just cut out the last piece. So he says at the end, he says, I really, whoever wants to jump into it, I really recommend Eli Stefansky Shir from America's Daf Yomi. There's all these charts and videos, funny things. But he says like this, Zelo Daf Yomi zu misibah yoimit. It's not Daf Yomi, it's a daily party. Anyway, so he's part of it. He wants to claim that he was the one that convinced me, one of the people that convinced me to do it in Hebrew.
He did tell you years ago.
He did. Rabbi Sai. So first of all, I want to say this. Last night, we had a interview. Reb Nachman Seltzer interviewed me for the Manchester and London Chavra, and it was a very big success in terms of the amount of people that showed up. There had 2 rooms full of people plus other people on Zoom, so it might have been the largest gathering so far for one of these events. So I don't know if people pledged or not. I have no idea what happened afterwards. So Yishkach for all those people, Yishkach for Reb Nachman for the interview. I hope it's not recorded. Reb Nachman, you want to tell them over that interesting shiloh that they had?
There was many interesting shilohs.
No, the Mashiach one.
Okay, I liked very much. There was one good question. It was along those lines.
As long as you know that.
One question that they asked,
I had to explain it.
When did you realize you were more brilliant than everyone else? I thought that was a good question. I didn't even ask that.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Another question was, if Eli Navi knocks on your door and tells you you're Mashiach, like, how are you going to react? What are you going to do about that?
What did I say?
Accept that. And Eli said that. It's not Negeh B'chal. He knows he's not Mashiach. Now we understand he really could be Mashiach.
Oh. The Masechta, sponsored by Anonymous. Noam is looking to see if this is what my reaction is. This is true, not. Trying to see the clues. The Masechta, Anonymous for the safe and speedy return for all the hostages. Avi, I'm going to accept everything you say, but in the middle of this year, not in the beginning. If you're conscious in the middle of this year, then you can say whatever you want. Masechta Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all. Very good. I get high marks in that. Get over here. The Masech is sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh, L'nishma Zechariah ben Moshe, L'nishma Zechariah ben Yosef. In case you live under a rock, so maybe two days ago, there was like WhatsApp things saying like that the Israelis might have found hostages and they're combating hand to hand. But if you haven't seen the news, then something crazy happened over there. They killed 140 terrorists in the Shiva hospital, plus maybe 500-600 captured. So the largest amount that they killed or gathered in one spot. Hopefully, and they say they got it like 3-4 very big names. They don't want to say the names yet. They have some names that they can't say yet. But maybe there's some hostages there. Who knows? Halavai. L'nishma Zechariah ben Moshe, l'nishma Zechariah ben Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh, Ahron Fraiman, it should be a zechus to rebel for continuous siyadta dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas HaChodesh, rafur shlema, Elimlech ben Tzipora, rafur shlema. Parnas HaYom, Karen, Rodins, Feiners, Szlafroks, Firemans. Who came up with these names? Times 2 and Pompers. Happy 4 times high birthday, Abba, Saba, and Fireman. Where is he? Shalom Aleichem, Mazel Tov. What, you went out of your way to find this kind of mechutanim and everything? Szlafroks? You couldn't find something like Friedman, Cohen, something normal? How do you spell the first one? Rodins? Rodin. Okay. Dallas.
So what happens when you go out
4 times chai. This is 4 amas by 4 amas. That's why he did it on purpose 4 times. Abba, enjoy experiencing MDY in person. Shkoyach for being here again. By Mordechai Sapoznick, Zechus Nishmas Ben Yamin Statfeld, Ben Yamin Ben Yitzchok Meir, Zechariah Levroch, Amazing Shama have an Aliyah, maybe a Meil Tzoysh for his entire Mishpacha, and all of Klal Yisroel. Parnas Hayoim, Raboisai, Bracha and Jonathan Stefansky, in great thanks and praise to Hashem for the birth of our newest granddaughter, born to Esther Bela and Simcha Milworm. Mazel Tov! Mazel Tov. Start of the month. Jonathan, you're not, I thought for a second you're Barbi Rav de Chadyoima. You show up on Rosh Chodesh Adar and that's it. But I see that you're here more often. Yishkoyach. The MDY headquarter for coffee and beverages by Mendel Lerner in honor of my daughter's chasana, She Yisku Livnois Bayis Nemon B'Yisrael. All right. Oh, I do want to say a tremendous shkoyach. I didn't even realize that I had a page. They put you on. David, you know what the rules are on this table, right? I hear everything. So, I'm happy that you're here. It's geschmack, but there's rules. And you know what the rule is over here. Can't lean in. Oh, he's still up. Okay, so my page went on. Whoever said that they're going to take a pledge, so they already have a link and everything. I didn't realize. And my first person that gave me money was Shlomo Elazarian. He gave me $5,000. 5,000. That's very nice. It was a good start. So Yishkoyach to Reb Shlomo. Huh? That goes towards my jet, Dr. Avifad. You still up, Rabbi? You still up. Okay.
Not teaching Torah. And then...
Are you allowed to lie in order to be a non-of? Are you allowed to lie if somebody asks you, are you fasting? Are you allowed to say no? Or is another shayla, if somebody's fasting and he goes to his friend's house and the guy gives him some cake or whatever, could he take it and put it in the garbage can so that nobody knows that it's baltashchas? But I want to do this. Lying, baltashchas, what's the difference? So we'll see at the end of the daf. You're going to have to be up for that. Says the Gemara, we're holding daf Chav Beis Amud Beis, 8 lines from the bottom. It's in middle, I'll just go back 2 lines, even though it's in the middle of a line. Because we're literally in the middle of a sentence. Makoim, when a person announces that he found something in a certain place, is that enough of a simon when somebody says, oh, you found something in a place, I lost cash over there, I lost a barrel, I lost something. Or it might be also, I found a barrel and the person says, I found it in this and this. I lost it in this corner. Rabbi Omar, I'm 8 lines from the bottom of Beis Amud Beis. Rab Omar lo have a siman, v'Rava Omar have a siman. The halacha is like Rava that have a siman, but Rabba says lo have a siman. It's not a good. How do you say siman in English? Mark. No, sign is not a good. Identifying something. So Rabbi says just because the person announced the place doesn't mean that you could just come along and say the type of item and that's enough. That's not enough. Lo have a siman. Rabbi says have a siman. Now, as we know, as I mentioned yesterday, Rabba was Rava's Rebbe. And Rabba was the Gadol Adar from the age of 18. He became the Rosh Shiva at 18. He was Nifter at the age of 40. He was one of Rava's Rebbe. So the Rand says there's a shayla in the Machlokes Rishonim. How do we pass him? Do we pass him like the Rebbe, or do we pass him like the Talmud because he's a Basroi? He's later on. In this case, there's Machlokes. In this case, I think the halach is like Rabba. Says the Gemara. Tashma krichois b'rishus harabim harei elu shloi. Where are my krichois? Thank you, Hillel. Shkoya. Krichois b'rishus harabim. You have a small amount of wheat with an identifying mark. This bowl, let's say, it's that's kikar. That's kikar. Krichois is this. That's exactly why I brought it there. Yeah, we're gonna see in a second. So krichois b'rishus harabim harei elu shloi. B'rishus hayachid noitel umachris. So in our Mishnah it talks about Rishus Harabim. The following Mishnah talks about Rishus Hayachid. If you find this in a Rishus Hayachid, let's say it's your Rishus Hayachid, or it's an open Rishus Hayachid that is not controllable, it's not Meshumer, you have to give this back. V'ha'alumois. So first of all, we have a picture for Machris Makim. Yeah, you just say, I found something in this place. Alumois is something larger than this. It's the same product, but it's much larger. It's also wheat. So we'll see the difference between a alumois and a krichois. You go ahead and you have to give it back. You announce it, you have to give it back. Says Gemara, how does this fit in to the shita of Rabba that makom is not a siman, and Rabba says it is a siman? We have a difference between a Rishus Harabim and Rishus Hayachid. We have a difference between is a makom a good identifying mark or not. Rabbi Metaritz l'tamei b'siman. Rabbi is going to say we're talking about a case where there is a siman on it. V'Rabbi Metaritz l'tamei b'makom. The siman in this case, according to Rabbi, would be the place. So Rabbi Metaritz l'tamei b'siman. Krichois b'Rishus Harabim reilu shaloi mishum. So it has a nice siman. I know I'm the only guy that ties my wheat with pink bows. But Rishus Harabim, the reason this doesn't count is why? Because Mishum the Midrasa. People are going to step on it like this beautiful video. Oh, Rav Nachman, this has to do with you. Check this out. Is there sound? I don't hear sound. Oh. Let's see. No, there's no sound. It was your song. It's not about the dove. He's listening to his headphone. Oh, you did. Okay, now you got the sound on. Okay, let's do it again. See the bow? Murdered. Tomer, where's Tomer? How do you know? It's unbelievable. So, they liked it because it had your song. That's it. They don't. Valumois. Oh, I'm sorry. Why do you give this back? The loy midrasa, because in Rishus Hayachid nobody's stepping on it. Valumois. But these large bales of wheat, you have to give it back. Why? Even the gvion, since they're tall, loy midrasa, nobody steps on it, so the siman remains. But Rav is going to say there's no siman. This goes according to Rabbi, there is a siman. According to Rabbi, there's no siman. So what is the siman? What's the possible siman? Possible siman is the place. When, check this out, if you if this falls down in Rosh Hashanah, what's the first thing that's going to happen when somebody passes by? He's going to kick it. It's going to start over here. Within minutes, it's going to end up down the block. So what kind of siman is Makam? Makam is not going to be a siman in this case. Rosh Hashanah is the Leibin Ashtafa. In Rosh Hashanah doesn't move, so it's a good siman. But if they're larger, you must give it back. You must return. Even the Akiri, loy min Ashtafa. Since they're very heavy, check this out, Rabboisai. Since they're very heavy, it's not going to move. So this is from a camera, a dash cam on a cop car. Check this out. This actually fell off something, I don't know what, but they're pretty heavy.
Wow. He thinks it's a donut. He accomplishes.
This is not a joke. This is for real. They weigh hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I don't know. He's not even lifting. I mean, most of the weight is on the ground. It's on an ankle. This is also a video of Rosh Hashanah. This is, I didn't go through the whole thing, but basically the truck had to go around this bale of wheat. Okay. Says Rabbi Isai, Toshma, Kikara is here. Now we're talking about breads. Kikara shel nachtoim, harei shaloi. These are Kikara shel nachtoim, that they all look the same. All the breads from Berman Baker. I'm not going to mention the other one. We don't like to mention it anymore. No. Berman Bakery. Kikar shel nachtem harei shaloi. Because there's no identifying mark on it. But the bread of an individual, everybody's bread is different. I'll give you a Mordechai. Once I say it, you're going to say, oh yeah. There is no two types of chont that are the same.
Just think that's true.
What?
I was just thinking.
Chont is chont. In fact, there's, in our shul in Chicago, in Lincolnwood, Rabbi Twersky's shul, there was a person by the name of Abba. He lives up the lake now. He made Aliyah. He started making a chont there. It was super spicy, super sweet at the same time. People loved the chont. The membership of the shul, I'm not exaggerating, grew by 100% like in the first year. MS. People from all over the city come for the chont. They don't want to admit it, but that's the truth. Suddenly, all of a sudden, 1 year, and everybody tries to imitate this chont. So when I did the 8-minute daf, I went to him for lessons in Chicago, and he showed me how to do it. It didn't come out good. So then I came back to America. He said, you know what, maybe it's the pot. So I bought the pot, I bought the sugar, I bought he uses brown sugar, he uses this barbecue sauce and this. Everything, exactly the same measurements, never came out like his, ever. And nobody in the show knows why. Like Kilo, like they all try to do it. This is some imitation. Can't. Chont is chont. My chont, your chont. Anyway, it's my bread, your bread. It'll never come out the same. Yeah, now I'm listening. What are you saying? Oh, that's the Nakuda, right? They said it last night. The trick is, the ingredients are the same. It's how you clean the pot or how you don't clean the pot. If you use the flavor from last week, it always comes out a little better. Yes, and it's worth. No, I'm listening. I told you. Shabbat buys my time. Even this Busimin made the idea rifted the inishu. When it comes to people's private bread, everybody realized that's so and so's challah. She made it. He made it. It's a different. Everybody knows that's what it looks like. Whether it's Rosh Hashanah, you have to give it back. Alma simin also the doris have a simin. Why would you give this bread back? If it fell in Rosh Hashanah, aren't people going to step all over it and no simin remains? Who cares if this bread looks different than that bread? Within a few minutes, it's gone. The simin is gone. Now, what's the nakuda? If you drop the bread, you come home and you say, oy vey, I dropped the bread in the middle of 45th Street in Manhattan. Are you going to go back? Nobody in their right mind is going to go back because they know that within minutes, it's destroyed, it's finished. Oh, where did you get that from? What does that mean?
You don't walk over food.
Okay. Halacha you could, no?
Yeah, people do what they're not supposed to do.
Okay, so we're going to get to that. Amalach Rabba. Chosamaynu taima mishum de'ein mavirin ala oichlin. Yeah, tiyufta. Tiyufta the Rabba. Isn't that a big question on Rabba? Hold on. The reason over there that a siman is a good siman on a bread is because we have a concept that you don't pass by bread, and some say all foods. You don't pass by. If you see it on the floor, you pick it up. In fact, I don't know if you've ever zoicha. If you ever zoicha, I've seen people pick up bread and then kiss it. Where did that come from? So the best I could come up with is that there's but it's not a mitzvah. It's a oichel. You don't kiss covered oichel. Some people kiss the challah on Shabbos because it's zocher v'shamar. So maybe somebody saw it over there and they said, okay, over here. Matzah, people kiss the matzah because that's a real mitzvah. That there's a real Indian to kiss matzah. I need to say this because I wonder when people. It said the Mefurish Country Yossi song. If you remember Country Yossi, he says what's pshat that he like makes fun of a kid. He says this kid is crazy. He kisses his bubby, but he doesn't even kiss the mezuzah. So Rabbi Tursky said, and Rabbi Tursky from Chicago, he said it's mamish the exact opposite than halacha. There's no halacha that says you have to kiss a mezuzah, but there's halacha to kiss your bubby, to be mechaber a bubby, give her a. And then the shaila is, why is it when a sefer Torah goes by, do people stick out their towels and they go like this? Do you also, when your kid does a good job on his homework, you go, hey, Chaimke, mwah, what a good boy. Nobody does that. That's how you kiss. This is how you respect the Sefer Torah with you. So the famous line, somebody came back from America, he says, in America, they give tzedakah with their mouth and they kiss the Sefer Torah with their hand. I guess around the world. They say they're going to give tzedakah, they don't really, they talk.
You know any good tzedakah they could give to?
Oh, it all goes back.
What's the page again?
I'll put a link in.
No. Michael Toivis. Okay, so anyway. So, Bizman Hazeh, there's a nidar in the Rishonim, and I should say the Paiskim. There's a nidar whether or not, when you're walking in the street, you see a piece of bread in the street, do you have to pick it up? A lot of Achronim, especially Reb Zilshim brings his father-in-law, Reb Eliasher, that they were walking, and he said, you don't have to pick it up. It's already dirty and filled. It's only about food that's edible, and you would eat. So you have to have covered for it. But it's already destroyed because it's already on the floor, and people care usually about germs and that sort of thing. You don't need to pick it up. There are those who argue. So everybody do their thing. You most likely don't have to kiss it. That I could say.
Maybe a hug more than a kazan.
There's an Indian, like, that's a good point you bring up. There's an Indian, definitely not to step on it. It brings anios, if it is kazayis, etc. But in terms of lifting it up, going out of your way, bending down and picking it up, yesh lahakal l'chayr, but I'm not a Rav. Says the Gemara. That's very good that you have this thing called emavir min al-oichlim. You're very makbid not to step on food. You go around it. What about people that don't have your halachas? The non-Jew, says Gemara, Nachrim Chayshilik Shafim. When a Nachri sees a bread on the ground, you know what he's thinking to himself? He says, probably one of these Jews put kishuf, some sort of spell on it, and if I step on it, the spell is going to explode into me. I can't step on it. To remind the Olam that the word abracadabra, that every magician, some people say it's avra kedabra.
Gemara says that.
Right. We saw in the Gemara, and some explain that it means I will create through my words. Evra, like I'll create kedabra. It's a lashon of kishuv. What about the animals that they're going to move it around? So the siman is no longer a good siman. The Gemara is saying enochanami. You are saying if you have reason to believe that the bread is moved, whether the non-Jew, whether the Jew doesn't care about stepping on, whether there's dogs over there, great. But in a place where there's no dogs, there's no Jews that are going to step on it, so then the siman remains the siman when it comes to bread. So this thing, this halach that we just learned, that siman ha'asui lidaris, right? So we have to remember the concepts because we have three of them. Siman ha'asui lidaris, a siman that's about to be destroyed by people walking on it. It's not considered a siman right now. I'm not going back for that. I know it's going to be destroyed. maybe that's a machlokes tanoim. And if it's a machlokes tanoim, it's kind of hard to believe that Rabbah and Rava, who are Amoraim, will argue in something that the tanoim already argued about. We learned in our Mishnah that anything that has there's a very nice picture here of a balabayis. This is a guy in his house. Just private bread. This is the store bread, although they all look the same thing. But okay, he has his own little shape that he does. This, if you remember, is the shinui, something that has something very different about it. He found a bunch of dried figs, and there's a piece of earthenware. He found the bread, and inside there's money. I always like to say the story. It's a Gabbalic story. I heard it when I was a kid, and I liked it. Because I was very negate to, like, when my parents or my father used to go to visit his mother in Eretz Yisrael, he would bring one thing for her. He'd bring her a jar of American coffee. The red, whatever it's called. Not Folgers, the other.
Maxwell House?
Not Bustella, I can tell you. Taste is choice. The red one, whatever. So the red cover. It was like Yikara Metzias. Today, you can buy it in every makola there in Eretz Yisrael, like you can buy, the peanut butters and all the cereals that they have in America. Almost everything you can buy. So a person asked somebody else if he could bring a jar of coffee to his mother in Eretz Yisrael. So it's a known thing. Yeah, sure. He took it. As soon as he lands, he gets a phone call from this guy. I don't know. They didn't have cell phones back then, so we have to figure out how exactly. He called up the meches in the airport to find out, did you go through meches yet? So he's like, what? He says, I just landed like an hour ago. What do you? He says, no, I just need it. Okay. So then so something went off. So he takes the jar of coffee and he spills it out on his kitchen table, and he finds diamonds inside the coffee. So he takes the diamonds out, he puts them in his pocket, he puts all the coffee back in, closes it up, and sure enough, the guy that whoever he brought it for, he starts making phone calls. He's calling. He says, yeah, I got the coffee. Don't worry, come. What's the big deal? No, I just need my coffee. We love this coffee. Okay, come over. He takes the bottle. 5 minutes later, he's knocking the door. Hey, where's my diamonds? There's diamonds. He says, diamonds? You didn't say anything about diamonds. You asked me to read. Kitzer, they go to Rav Nisim Karelitz. That's the story. Back and forth. And the guy wins the entire. He doesn't have to give back diamonds. He wasn't told about diamonds. So he says, you don't have to give back the diamonds. They leave the Bezdin. And the guy says, here are your diamonds. He says, don't ever do that to anybody. You put me in a sakana. You could have put me in jail. Don't do that again. Shalom Yisrael. Anyway, people put stuff in food. Sometimes it's money, cash. Here, can you bring this bread to my mother in Israel? She loves American, whatever's bakery. Corn's bakery. No, we had what's Eli Schlissel? What's his bakery? Shik's, I think. No, whatever. All right. So Zokti Gemara. Keitza Motzei Igul v'Soicha Cheres. Kigul v'Soicha. Now this is machlokes. Rabbi Yehuda says if you find something that has something strange in it, here we actually have a picture of Rabbi Chekinov from Torah Das. He put the Eli Berman from Strauss bakery. Okay, shkoyach. Here's a bread on the. You can see there's like money coming out of this bread right over here, and this piece of meat I'll show you later. Here's the Yuli Dvela, the round figs, very nice, hands-on shear. So, but this is if Rabbi Yehuda is saying that anything that has a shinu, you have to make a hachraza. That means the Tanna Kama argues on him. It's only Rabbi Yehuda that says that. So what would be the machlokes? Savrua, the Kuli Alma Siman Abba Me'elav have a siman. Yeah, I said that. You're not paying attention today. Mechlal the kind of time Saba, Hare Elu Shaloi. Savrua. So the Tanna Kama argues, he says, Hare Elu Shaloi. Savrua, the Kuli Alma Siman Abba Me'elav have a siman. Something that happens accidentally, that it comes into the where is it? Like this. The money fell in there. They say about the Sarah Oif and the Sarah Mashkim. How come the Sarah Mashkim got killed, stayed and the Sarah Oif got killed? Because flies fall into wine once in a while. But to be negligent and let a stone or whatever fall into the bread, that's bad news. Off with your head. So Siman Haba Me'elav. So now we have another concept called Siman Haba Me'elav. A siman that happens on its own. You didn't put it there. It's very possible that a piece of a shard of earthenware fell into your iguli dveila, into your figs. You didn't put it there. Whether or not siman Haba says the Gemara, the kula alma siman Haba Me'elav have a siman umavir na la'oichlin. and you could pass by food. So let me just show you what we did here. And this makes the sugya very, very simple. There's a number of these charts because all we need to know is there are three things that we're discussing here. The three things are going to remain in the same spot. The only thing that's going to change are the check marks. We have on the right, if you're listening to this, I feel bad for you. You have to see this. Siman also lidaris. Something that's going to be stepped upon, trod upon, is that considered a siman? We have the middle one that we just discussed, siman Abba Metzia. You have a piece of earthenware that fell into figs. And we have the last one, the one on the left. Are you permitted to pass by food? And therefore, if you're permitted to, that means people are going to step on it. If you're not permitted to, then people won't step on it. So now the Gemara is saying like this. We have a machlokes tanoim in the thing that's all the way to the right. In other words, everybody agrees you're allowed to pass by food. And if you're allowed to pass by food, it's called a siman also lidaris. Notice that they're connected. Since you're allowed to pass by food, you don't have to pick it up, so people are going to step on it eventually. So the one all the way to the left has a lot to do with the one to the right. You're allowed to be maver al, and therefore it's a siman also lidaris. So we could take that box that says machlokes on top. The machlokes right now is on siman also lidaris. Is that considered a siman, not considered a siman? I can take that box and put it in the middle one. We have a machlokes whether siman Abba Metzia is a siman or not. I can take that box, move it all the way to the left, and say we have a machlokes whether or not you're allowed to pass by food. We discussed this. This, that, you're allowed to pass. We have a machlokes. So based on that, that's the whole sugya, and it goes all the way down to the bottom. Now, you don't have to understand anything. You don't have to know what a siman also me'elav, and you don't have to know anything. All you need to know is that the check marks went from here to there, to the right, to the left. That's the whole sugya, okay? And you pretend in your head that you knew what's flying. Siman Abba Metzia ave siman u'mavir na la'oichlin, and check mark, you're allowed to pass by food. My lab is siman also lidaris. Oh, machlokes is on the right. Mar sovar lehav siman or mar sovar have siman, and that's the machlokes tanoim. We just said perhaps it's machlokes tanoim. Here it is, machlokes tanoim between Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanakama, whether or not we have a siman also lidaris, is that considered Shom Aleichem? Siman also lidaris is a siman. Oh, so now we're going to jump. Look, check out the slide now. We're going to Rava. Oh, the machlokes just shifted over to the middle. And therefore, we have two check marks that say the right and the left are check marks. Everybody agrees to them. You know what could change here, by the way? The right and the left could be X's. Okay? It will be the machlokes will be in the center, just according to Rabbi, it will be all X's. Everybody agrees that you cannot step on food. Everybody agrees that siman also lidaris is not a siman. And you're allowed to pass by food. Oh, sorry, I jumped to the teretz first. But he asked a question. How is it possible to announce a bread? If it's in Rosh Hashanah, you're allowed to step on it. Or not allowed to step on it, you're allowed to go buy it. And eventually somebody's going to step on it, destroy the siman. What good is it that you are announcing this? Everybody holds that it's a good siman when you're going to step on it. Why? Because everybody holds that you're allowed to pass by food, and therefore what? They're going to step on it. Step on it. It's a problem. Is it a siman or not? Yes, it is a siman. The machlokes is in the center case of siman Abba Metzia, that it came by itself, it fell in there by itself. Money and a bread. The Tanakama saw siman Abba Metzia, lo have a siman. Rabbi the Saba have a siman. Rabbi Amalach, and Rabbi is going to say no. The kulam siman also lidaris lo have a siman ve'ma vir nalachim. All he's going to check this out, Rabbi Isai. He's going to take the two check marks and make them X's. In other words, everybody holds you're not allowed to pass by food. Everybody holds the siman also lidaris is not a siman, but the machlokes remains the same in the center. Tanakama Sova lo have a siman. Rabbi Sova have a siman. Ikeda. And some say, right? We were saying, check this out. We were saying the machlokes is in this. Ikeda Amri, that the machlokes shifts all the way to the left. That it started again. Hold on, let me just show you real quickly. We started off. Take a look at this chart for a second. You see, Mendy? You got to see this. We started off saying the machlokes is all the way to the right. If siman also lidaris is a siman, and now Ikeda Amri is saying no. It actually starts all the way to the left of machlokes. Then Rav Zvid has the same question that he had before, And he's going to say, okay, you're right. The machlokes is in the center. So, this is actually an X here and a check. This is a mix. Everybody holds Siman Abba Me'elav is good, and Siman Asli Dars is not good. Okay, different than what we had before. My love, now the whole machlokes will be all the way to the left, whether or not when you see food, you let it pass it by. Says Gemara, here comes the question that he asked before. You're telling me this is machlokes whether or not you let it pass by food. So according to one of those mandamrim, the Tanakama, you let it pass by food. So what happens when you pass by food? Everybody's going to step on it. So what good is it? What did I say? Yeah, Siman also Doris, lo have a siman. It's not a siman if you step on it. But he's going to hold, one of the two on the left holds the mavir nalach me let it pass by food. So therefore it's going to destroy the siman. Why is it if you have a private baked bread that's found in Rosh Hashanah, you have to announce it? What are you announcing? The siman is destroyed. And therefore it goes to this. The machlokes is going to be in the center, and now we start over that whole thing that we said. The right and the left is both check marks, yes, and the machlokes is in the center. The Tanakam Sover Siman Abba Me'elav have a siman. Review the Sover have a siman. Virab Omer Lach, and Rabbi is going to say the same thing. Check this out. Rabbi says the machlokes is in the center. Just instead of having two check marks, two X's like we had before. The Kulam Siman also the doors have a siman. Be Mavir Nalachnan. Siman Abba Me'elav come in fligi. Tanakam Sover Siman Abba Me'elav. They have a siman. Review that Sover have a siman. The machlokes is in the center one. Now, new sugi Rabbi say Omer Zvid Mishmei the Rava. Klala Davidta. I have a rule when it comes to lost objects. Once a person says, "Oh, I can't believe I lost it," you have yush. There's an incredible medrash. I thought it sounds fake, but it's real. There's a medrash that says there's two malachim. One was called Vai, and one was called Oy. Before by the Dar Mabel, and they were complaining that they're not going to have anything left. So they said, "Listen, from now on, when somebody loses something, people are going to say Oy Vei." That's what the measure says. People are going to say Oy Vei in your honor forever. And the famous sefer Peliotes, the Peliotes brings this medrash, and he says, but people should say Oy and not Vei, because Oy is the Rosh Tevis Avram Yitzchok Yaakov Yud Yud. He read it as I, not Oy. Okay. Omar Rav Zvid Mishmei the Rava Klal Aveito Kiv Nomar Vaylich Sorin Kis Miyayish Lemino. Omar Rav Zvid Mishmei the Rava Hilchos Krichos B'Shus Rabim. When you find this, not Kikaros, Krichos, this guy in Rishus Rabim, R Eli Shalom, you get to keep it. Why? Because it was Rava hold Rabbi side. We're talking about a case where there is no siman, and Makam is also not a siman. Why? Because this very lightweight object moves a lot, so there's no Makam. If you found it in a private domain and you saw that it fell off somebody's truck, you're allowed to keep it. And if somebody put it there, you see that it's piled nicely, you return it. This is talking about there's no siman of if there is a siman, it doesn't matter where you found it. If you find something with a siman, you must return it. Daf Yomi brand new sugya. Sponsored by Innovations? No. Sponsored by Ner Taman of Baltimore, Maryland, in honor of Fischl and Simcha Grows. Thanks to them, 137 people learned over 16,000 Daf Gemara and over 727,000 minutes of Torah. We learned Umachroizos Shel Dagim. What's Umachroizos Shel Dagim? Stringed fish. Now, the kiss from Hashem over here is that yesterday you probably all noticed that in Slichas we said those words. B'charoizes dogim charzu tchuvim, and on Purim we also say it that the Haman's sons were hanging by like dogim. Okay, it's especially that we said it yesterday, and I gave the Hebrew shir last night. Mamish that day. Amai And it's the first time I actually noticed it. I don't think I probably read it 50 times, whatever old I am, or yeah. But I actually noticed it said the word Charez Dogim. Now I knew what it was. Amai, Levi Kesher Simon. Why could you get to keep it? They're tied, and look at the tie. Look at the knot. What kind of knot is it? Oops. It has a special knot, so it's mine. Says the Gemara B'Kidra the Tzayada, all fishermen tie it the same way. It was the fisherman's knot. That's how they do it. I had 10. I'm going to say I had 10 fish there. I had a dozen fish. Says the Gemara B'Minyana the Shavan. Everybody puts the same amount. It's always a dozen. It's always 5, whatever the number is. You didn't find something that has an identifying characteristic. Bo Menei Mirav Sheshes. Minyan have a siman or lo have a siman. That's interesting. Is it even a siman if you say I lost 13 of that item? A guy says I found fish and you say it was 13 and you got it. Is that considered siman? Everybody that walks by, you tell your whole family. Each one goes 5, 6, 7. Eventually you're gonna get it. You found silver, copper, gasser and shalaver. You found lead. In those days they didn't realize how dangerous lead is to touch. Broken piece of lead, any kind of metal. You don't have to give it back. There's no siman. So you give some sort of identifying mark. You could say exactly, I lost a 2.5 pound piece of lead, liquid lead or whatever it is, 2.5 pounds of steel, then you get it back. Says Gemara. And this we passing on halacha. Since weight is a good siman, mida, so the size of it, if I say I lost a piece of steel that was 13 feet long by 2 inches wide, it's a good siman. If I say I lost 10 rods, I was building a beam somewhere and I needed 10 pieces of steel, that's also siman. So by us also, if I say I lost 13 fish, that's good. What about pieces of meat? Why could you keep it? That's the Gemara. Every piece of meat weighs different. So say I lost 3.5 pounds. We're talking about all the butchers. They sell 2 pounds of shoulder. That's how they do it. 2 pounds. Everybody's the same. So it's not a siman. Why don't you say, okay, I lost a shoulder, I lost a leg, I lost this. Just the fact that I'm identifying what part it is, that should be enough. L'mashal says the Gemara, oy the dafka, oy the atma, either the neck. So Rashi says neck or flanken. So he says, what's flanken? Flanken is that you could see the heartbeat of the animal. When he's exhausted, you see it going in and out. Oy the atma, or the thigh. Identified, I lost the thigh. Says Gemara, and this is the raya from these words, not the rest. I found a piece of fish. What does a piece of fish mean? So the Gemara understands chatichat dagim and says, I found the roish of a fish. I needed it for Rosh Hashanah. I lost the roish. I lost the zanav. He's identified. That's enough. V'dag noshuch. We have a nice picture that Yoshi actually drew by hand, the neshich over here. A fish that has a bite in it. So I had an employee for many years. His name was Tim. I asked him, Tim, what, you're an anti-Semite? He says, no, I hate everybody equally. That was his thing. It's the real deal. They had guns and this guy did this to me, so I scratched up his car. Real. So he always used to tell me his family owned property in Canada, in middle of Yehupitzville, but what Yehupitzville like you never heard of. Yehupitzville, that there's no way to get there. The only way to get there is land on a lake in an airplane. What? Seaplane. So they would go there once in a while. They built cabins over the years. No electricity, of course, nothing. You come with beer and a few maybe items that you need. Necessary matches, fuel. You tell me stories. They would be there and they told the plane, okay, you pick me up in 2 weeks. Now if he doesn't come, oy vavoy. And once in a while it would snow and the plane couldn't come. So they had to stay for another 3 weeks. Not a big deal. And they would live off the fish from the other things. So anyway, I'm telling you this, Mike, crazy stuff that he told me. That it was snowing and the plane never came. They're running out of everything. They had to trek for hours and hours until they found a train track. They had to stop the train. Anyway, he pulls out a fish. Wasn't a getas, it really isn't, but I just remember he pulls out a fish, and the fish is missing like part of his. And he looks at his brother. He says, "Wow, that's the fish we put in there 2 years ago. They had a fish. It had mamish simon. It was missing like part of its head, and they kissed it, like they kissed the bread, and threw it back into the leg in Klal Yisroel. It's identifying if a fish has a neshicha in a certain place, you could identify it. But we're talking about Motzei chatichas dagim. That's what we want. The type of fish, the piece of the fish. Benny, don't go yet. We're getting to you in a second. Rabbi say Yishkoyach to Benny. He's leaving now. Because of him, we have a nice thing here. Now, if a chayiv la'achris, you must announce. So it says mefurish. Look, it says a chaticha shel basar, chaticha shel dagim. In our mission, it says a piece of flesh. You don't have to announce. How come over here it says you have to announce a piece of fish? You have these barrels. Supposedly they put wine, oil that we know, but even wheat they would put in barrels. Dried figs, these barrels you can keep. So the problem is from the chadicha shadagim. Says Gemara, we have an answer. The chatichas dagim, the reason why I have to give it back is because the guy cut it weird. He made a W out of the fish. Okay, so now it's different. Kiha the Rabbi Baravuna, Rabbi, when he would send his wife meat, I guess in those days they didn't have the stemples and the bags and everything we have today. Sent her a piece of meat like this. The guy, the shliach, brought it like that. Mechadich lei atlosa karnosa. Kiss from Hashem. He would cut it like a hamantash. Rabbi said we have an actual piece like that Benny made for us. Beautiful. Check this out. MDY grade, it says. It's chashuv, no? Perfect. Now you understand the simon. Or in Hebrew, Tlas Karnasa. Daikinami. Diktoni dumi de dag noshoch. And I'll prove it to you. Huh? I told my wife we have meat.
So you better be the highest bidder.
Daikinami, you can auction it off. Fine, here, give it to him. Let him auction it. Maybe I'll give it back to him. I don't know. It's whatever. Maybe somebody will buy it from him. It's a nice piece. This is brisket. I asked him, what do you do with this? He said he ground it. He put it. So yeah, you buy burgers over there. You get brisket burgers. So it's because it says Dumi Didar Nashoch. It's in the same sentence as Nashoch. Nashoch is a real simon. Shema Mino, this is a real simon. If you find these barrels full of stuff, you get to keep it. But what about the fact that we learned in the Mishnah? We have a contradiction. Do you have to announce a barrel or do you not? So what Rashi says is very interesting. First of all, Rashi says another kiss from Hashem. He says, in the months of Shvat and Nisan, this is what we do. The month of Adar is missing. Okay, maybe because there's a lot of drinking on. I don't know why. He's missing it. People sell a lot of wine. Okay, they have in the store, they sell wine. You go to the winemaker. You go to him, you taste the wine. In these months, Shvat and Nisan, you taste the wine. You like it, you buy it. If you're buying one barrel, and these barrels are made out of what, Rabbi say? Wrong. Made out of earthenware, says Rashi. Why? I don't know. That's what he says. If you like the wine, you can take whatever, the small barrel, bring it home and sell it. Bring it to your store. What if you're buying 10 to 15 of them, says Rashi? You can't bring home 15 open barrels. You got to reseal them. By the way, this is what Yoshi did for the, not bad at all. Tilsa Talta Karnasa. Very nice. Okay, so this is an earthenware jug, and you would reseal it to keep the aroma, says Rashi, in there. You got to reseal it with some sort of whatever it is, clay. If you see something sealed like that, like not the original seal, it's a new type of seal to get the flavor to stay in there, that's a simon. The Gemara is going to explain. Michlal de Braisa bebasuach. Why don't you return in the Braisa? Because we're talking about a barrel that's open. As the Gemara, who doesn't close a barrel of wine? What's going to happen if you leave a barrel of wine in the middle of a street for 2 hours? The animals are going to come and eat, drink from it. Who knows what? So that means I gave it up on purpose. It's Aveda Midas, and you don't have to give back Aveda Midas. Rav Stefansky once asked the Bacher, you chazer the sugya, see this? So the Bacher was like a smart Bacher. He says, listen, Shiva, I learn, and I forget everything I learn. I don't do chazar, but you know what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to find the Aveda, and he's going to give it back to me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a Meshav Aveda. So Hashem says, no. Eli Metzia is Daf Yomi Amud Beis. There's something called Aveda Midas. When you leave something on purpose, you don't get it back. If you're negligent, that's not Aveda. Omer Avishai b'meitzif. It's not open. He put the cover on. He didn't seal it. There's a big difference in sealing something or just putting a piece of wood on top like that. The animals are not going to get to it. The flavor might escape. You could say that the Bryce and the Mishnah both are talking about that it's completely sealed, and one says you have to give it back. One says you don't have to give it back. What's the pshat? This picture over here, before everybody started selling wine, so it's very unique. Nobody has a barrel like that that's sealed with that kind of seal. If every store is selling wine, so they all went through this whole process. I'm going to buy 10, 15. I'm going to smell. I'm going to taste from each and every one. And Mamela, it's not a simon anymore. He found the barrel of wine after everybody's selling, so it's everywhere. It's like finding a bottle of Coke. You find a bottle of Coca-Cola in the middle of the street. Is that a simon? Absolutely not. If Coca-Cola just came out with a brand new vanilla mint flavor, and you're the first person, okay, so that's a simon. You're the first person to have it. So he says, Abba says to him, take it. It's sealed. That's not a simon. Exactly the sugi that we learned before is announcing, I found something. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I found something in this corner, on this beam. We learned it in the Brisa. If you found any type of barrel that it contains something, you could keep it. But if in fact on this corner is where I found something, if that's a simon, how come he doesn't announce it? On the river bank, check out this beautiful picture. Explains the whole sugya. There's a place where people come with their wine and they load on the dock. Now, one chacham comes and says, I found something on the dock. Shkoyach. Oh, was it by any chance a barrel of wine? That's a simon. Come on. Everybody has barrels of wine there. That's not a simon. My time, you have a simon the dog, just like you forgot it over this family, your friend also forgot it there. Not a simon. Some people say, my time, have a simon. Now we're going to read it like I said, it's been a Haman. What? You're the balabas of this place? This corner is also, your friend also. But maybe if you have a special place that you lost it, it was 5 feet off of that corner, maybe it is a simon. Says Gemara, something like this, not a perfect, but he found some tar in the place where people make wine. Also, the Rav, comes to Rav, there's no simon, take it. Rav noticed that this guy was hesitant. He didn't like it. Maybe it's a kula. So Rav says, I have a son called Chia, the famous Chia. I'm so confident that you could take it. If you don't believe it, give it to my son. Give half of it to my son. He could take it also. In other words, it's halacha l'maisa. Says Gemara, have a simon. What? I found it by the matzarta. That's a simon. So announce, I found something by matzarta. And what are you going to say? I lost tar. Tar is very valuable in those days, I guess. No, it's not a simon. Look what happened. If you notice, look where the arrow is now. There's the stuff growing out of the tar. It's been there for months. That's not a simon. People gave up on it. Huh? Makam is a simon, but not when a person gives up complete years because it's been there forever. What's this amporia that you're allowed to keep? When you didn't get used to it, if you find it, you're allowed to keep it. What's going on here? If it has a identifying mark, it says your name on it, Who cares if you don't recognize it or not? You're not so familiar with it. My havi, there's a siman on it. Either lesbu siman, if it has 0 scratches, nothing. And if you recognize it, who cares? Says Gemara, lesbu siman. There's no siman. What came to mind when I was reading this is in the Mir Yeshiva, when you walk in there in the coat thing, what if you take everybody's black hats and you move them around? Since they're all Talmidei Chachamim, they walk in. I see my hat in a second. That's it. They're all very. Everybody has a tefillah sign, but you have to be a Talmid Chacham for that. Actually, we learned that the Ran says everybody has tefillah sign. Just when it comes to somebody else's object, your own object, when you have a negias, you're biased, then we only rely on Talmid Chacham. Says the Gemara. When you're familiar with it, then the identifying, the visual identification kicks in. But when you're not so familiar with it, we could stop right over here, and I'm gonna spoil it. Spoiler alert! The reason I'm stopping right over here is because the next line has everything to do with Purim. It's a kiss from Hashem. Let me just announce. Today, the Hebrew shir is at 2 o'clock. Mincha is according to those who want to daven Mincha. Motzei Shabbos, because of the Kriyas HaMegillah, English shir is at 9:30. Hebrew shir is at 10:30. Purim day, there's a minyan with Kriyas HaMegillah before shir. Shir is at the regular time at 7:15 a.m. We learn every single day. 5:45 is Shachris. Motzei Purim, if you speak Hebrew, you want to hear the shir in Hebrew, Motzei Purim at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Hopefully the Olam's not that drunk then. Rabbi, have a wonderful Shabbos and a Freilich in Purim.